Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another one of our webinars from the MindSpeak webinar series. The focus of today is on scaling up automation, and specifically we're going to look at ANZ Bank's experience of scaling up their automation program by leveraging Mindfields MindEzy platform. My name is Sukalp Sharma. I am the CEO for Australia New Zealand for Mindfields, and I will be your host today. And I'm joined by Lucy Kordic, who leads the Finance Automation Center of Excellence for ANZ Bank. I and my team had the distinct pleasure of working with Lucy over the last 6 months and more. First, for implementing the Center of Excellence for Automation within finance at ANZ, and later whilst rolling out our MindEzy automation management platform. Thank you, Lucy, for joining us.
Thank you for the opportunity, Sukalp. It's really great to be here and share our experiences as well as learn from others in the industry on their automation journey. So thank you.
Excellent. Great to have you here, Lucy. I also want to acknowledge and introduce Jackie, who will be navigating through the slides and also rolling out poll questions during the presentation and the webinar as we go. So Jackie, before we get started on the house rules, do you want to quickly take us back to the last slide? I quickly want to introduce the two organizations in play here. Both Mindfields and ANZ have been amongst the early starters for automation in different ways. Mindfields got started on this journey about 4 to 5 years ago, and coincidentally, ANZ Bank was our first client in helping develop a strategy for automation. And since then, we have been at the forefront of implementing automation solutions for Tier 1 customers. ANZ Bank, like I said, have been the early adopters of this technology and have recently been in the news for positive reasons for having a successful automation machine learning program, and they've benefited from that as well. Not to mention they are amongst the big 4 banks and need no further introduction than this. Jackie? On this note, Jackie, before we look at the agenda in detail, do you want to go through some housekeeping rules?
Sure, Sukalp, thank you. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Jackie, and I'll be rolling through the presentation for this webinar. I'd just like to go through some helpful information about how this webinar is set up. So all attendees will be on mute. If you'd like to communicate with the speakers, you can do so via the chat. We'll be accepting questions through the chat message, which Sukalp and Lucy will be able to tackle at the end of this webinar. Also, we'll be sharing the webinar slides and recording with all the attendees after this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Thanks. So here's a brief agenda for today. Like I said, the focus today is on looking at ways of scaling up automation, the common obstacles in doing so, and how by leveraging an automation management platform, we are able to overcome some of those obstacles. So we will start with discussing, getting a context on ANZ's automation program from Lucy. And followed by a discussion on some of the key barriers that we've come across, both at ANZ and at other clients, and how we have been able to overcome some of those. There'll be a poll question there as well. The following 30 minutes are dedicated to looking at, and going into further depth on those barriers and some other advantages of, a proper way of resolving those. And finally, we're going to conclude with the key takeaways from ANZ on the MindEzy implementation and some associated factors that contributed to the growth of and the rise of their automation program. We will have some time for question and answers towards the end. However, let's not be restricted by or constrained by those 10 minutes. Please feel free to share your questions later on, and we'll endeavor to reply to them even after this webinar as well. Do you have anything to add at this stage, Lucy?
That sounds good. Look forward to the next hour.
Excellent. All right. So, Jackie, could we get on to the next slide, please? Yes. So, Lucy, it would be great if you could share the context of your automation program, the environment, and how finance set up to and started to look at setting up their own automation program whilst working in the confines of the wider organization's automation program.
Sure. Thanks, Sukalp. So I guess automation isn't new to ANZ. As you mentioned, we've started this journey a while ago within the bank, and there are a number of RPA solutions that have been delivered across ANZ, but mainly in that operations and trade area. So when we started to look at automation and the automation journey for finance, we wanted to do something a little bit different. It wasn't just about delivering solutions for creating capacity and removing that manual work, but we also want to educate our users on how automation can actually improve and simplify the way they work, but also ensuring that we had a robust governance framework in place to manage the pipeline, the delivery, and the actual bots themselves. So for the Finance Automation CoE, we actually launched a concept called the Automation Experience Lab, where we had a dedicated space with desks and our screens and laptops and TVs. And this was to give our finance users a more interactive user experience where they could come and learn about the automation tools, as well as see some demos of previous solutions were delivered. So it was a real sort of space for them to come and learn and sort of see type of thing. And our focus for phase one of this journey was on RPA delivery for Australia and New Zealand-based processes to deliver with pace and, again, establish this governance and support framework to ensure that we had a control and governance over what we were delivering.
Okay, great, Lucy. Thank you for that. So we will keep coming back to that context as we go on and discuss specific examples of your experience over the last 1 year or so. I think this is the right time to get on to our first poll question before we go too far into the content. We want to know from our audience, based on their experience, what is the one most important factor that enables automation programs to scale up? Now, mind you, there may be multiple ones, but we're looking for the one that, in your opinion, is the most important factor that helps scaling up automation programs. You can take your time. Once we have the results, we will populate it on the results screen as well, but please make your pick. All right, so we have the results. Apologies for some of the questions were not complete. I could realize that. So, Jackie, food for thought for next time. But we have an overwhelming result in favor of executive sponsorship, followed by governance and stakeholder alignment. Is that a surprise, Lucy?
No, not at all, actually. So I guess executive sponsorship is key. Really, the execs need to drive the change, firstly, that they want to see. And ultimately, I guess they're the ones that will continue supporting it, providing the investment. So that sponsorship is really key.
Excellent. And this is on the lines of our discussion yesterday as well. And the other good thing here is that governance and stakeholder alignment is also an associated focus, which are both features of what we're going to discuss today. So that's excellent. That's expected. So thank you for that, Jackie. Could we get to the next slide, please? All right, Lucy. So that's a nice segue into discussing the barriers to scaling. So from what enables scaling up, let's now look at it from the other perspective as to if you could want to share some of your experiences as to what were the key barriers in scaling up the automation program at ANZ that you encountered.
Yep. So I guess really having that clear governance process to manage the pipeline delivery and more so that operational risk. So often the risk assessment and profiles of the opportunities aren't considered. And so then I guess that causes some nervousness to continue building and scaling and growing the number of automation solutions out there. However, we used within Mindfields, we definitely use that sort of risk assessment profiling that's captured in the prioritization matrix. Also not having that transparency and visibility of how opportunities are assessed or prioritized. Again, people come to the party and they might give and provide some ideas, but they're not willing to, I guess, grow and scale those ideas if they're not sure how things are being prioritized and assessed and understand the actual life cycle. And not having that central repository of the automation opportunities, solutions that include the likes of process and business ownership, the different system touch points, because we really need to ensure that we've got an ability to perform the right impact assessment if either our system and applications change that our finance users are using, or that if the box actually change, how that impacts the business process or the underlying applications it's touching. So just sort of having that overall oversight and governance was probably one of the key barriers in allowing us to scale.
Sure. Okay, so I heard a couple of things there, Lucy, so thanks for that. Essentially, not having visibility and transparency of across the end-to-end processes is one factor. Obviously, we talked about executive sponsorship, so it starts at the top. Some of the things you shared, Lucy, also resonates with what we see at other clients. If you don't have the right tools, there's no structured methods of a way of identifying and prioritizing suitable candidates for automation, then it's going to be it's bound to be unstructured and haphazard and ad hoc, which is a barrier to scaling it up, which also then causes other problems or associated problems as to how does the Automation Center of Excellence decide which processes or which business units processes they want to automate. Yes, and which leads to friction and disharmony in the organizations as well. Earlier we used to talk about these IT functions are not new to such problems because they have to manage business units projects as well. So not having a structured way of selecting which project should be done with the limited resources and in the limited time that we have has often led to problems. So we want to avoid those problems, and having a universally or an organization-wide accepted way of selecting, prioritizing, and then running automation program is the key here. So over the course of the slides, we're going to see and delve into how by leveraging an automation management platform, we are able to do that.
Yeah. What we found also was that our senior leaders, before they ask, I guess, what's the benefit of introducing automation to our processes, they really wanted to understand what were the controls in place to govern it, ensure that we weren't increasing or introducing any operational risk. So, and they want to understand how the bots were being monitored. So that was sort of their key, I guess, focus before we even talked about the actual benefits and value that automation can deliver. So MindEzy definitely helped sort of, I guess, clarify and paint that picture for our senior stakeholders.
Excellent. Thanks, Lucy. So I think we're going to discuss this in detail in the next couple of slides as well. So Jackie, could we please move to the next one? All right, so nice segue into from the barriers to specific examples of how MindEzy has helped overcome some of these challenges and help drive up automation adoption. Lucy.
Sure. So as Sukalp mentioned, we initially engaged with Mindfields to establish the Automation CoE framework, which I know Jan Walter Dunlop discussed in a previous webinar. But we also wanted to continue with the theme of delivering a more interactive and improved user experience. And MindEzy was able to deliver this through its digital and web-based solution, which is the capture of our opportunities. It provides the management and governance of those opportunities that were submitted. So instead of our users logging their opportunities in Excel templates or sending emails with no visibility, that basically a faceless interaction, the users would come and see us at our lab, where we'd instantly be able to capture their idea in MindEzy. We're able to provide that personalised service, working one-on-one with the BAs, able to answer the intake and prioritisation questions online. And this allowed the user, I guess, to see their ideas come to life, and also how the ideas that they put forward were being scored based on the ease, benefit and risk, and therefore how it actually plots on the prioritisation matrix. So it was all quite transparent and interactive. And I guess the other benefit that we saw was that MindEzy provides that central repository, as we said, of all the opportunities with the as-is and to-be documentation, linkages to that process owner and business owner, the system touch points, solution design, testing, results, sign-offs, etc. So essentially, we were able to automate our own governance process. So we were practicing what we were preaching there, and automating as much of our own processes and not just not just for our actual users.
That's great. Thanks, Lucy. So essentially, you talked about your experience lab. So having a structured way of enabling the intake of opportunities allows everyone to be a participant in it. What we've seen is that if we complement the top-down approach to automation with the bottom-up approach or participation by enabling every person in the organization to submit opportunities which will be assessed against a structured framework, then it increases the participation in the automation program. So MindEzy facilitates the opportunity intake by submitting a form, and users can do it either by submitting it from their desktops, or they can come to the experience lab, discuss it with the CoE people in the experience lab, and then that opportunity gets created, which will then be assessed and triaged using a structured framework going forward. It also acts as a single source of truth, so you don't have disparate spreadsheets, Word documents, and whatnot. The exec and the... Sorry, go on.
No, that's right. Yeah, I was going to say it's definitely what having that single source of truth and a single repository without, like you said, disparate sort of spreadsheets or formats was definitely key.
Yeah, and imagine having all those documents for 5 processes that are automated, and imagine having the similar things for 50 or 500. So clearly, we need to move away from those spreadsheets and from the clutter of different documents, and having a single source of truth where you have not only all the process information end to end, but you also have the bot performance information, which we're going to talk about subsequently. So, okay, so thank you for that. So some key takeaways there, Lucy, that, by having a single source of truth, by enabling universal participation, by having a structured assessment framework, and by enabling everyone in the organization to read from the same book, which means, the exec to look at the same screens and the users to also review from the same source of truth, drives transparency and helps overcome some of those barriers and challenges that we spoke about. Excellent. Jackie, let's move to the next one. Thank you. How does MindEzy promote an end-to-end approach to automation management? Now, I talked about the top-down and bottom-up approach with reference to the challenges in the previous slide. But there's more. So it should not. So what MindEzy enables is, so we have put our entire end-to-end automation management methodology on this platform, which means that right from the time you start thinking about an opportunity for its potential for being possibly automated, to the time when it gets developed as a bot and is implemented in production, the entire set of tools, frameworks, assessment approaches, methodology, dashboards, reporting has been put on this platform. So it helps manage our clients and optimize the automation journey. It also helps facilitate optimum decision making. So, for example, if a process is higher up on the prioritization matrix, we live in a world where resources, money, time is finite. We cannot automate every process that we consider. So we obviously have to automate those processes that will deliver us higher value, either in the form of monetary financial benefits or in the form of meeting our other needs like higher compliance with the regulatory requirements or higher accuracy or leaving a better audit trail and so on. But having a structured framework for enabling that decision making is the ask. And that's what we've tried to promote and include in MindEzy platform. So you're managing one, universal participation, two, transparency of the different life cycle stages, and three, putting in the business case development tools within that, putting in the prioritization tools within that, putting in visualization tools within that, interfacing it with support and maintenance systems, interfacing it with the control rooms or the orchestrators or whatever your tool is, so that we're getting the bot performance data in addition to the process data. Lucy, talking about ANZ, what are your specific experiences with respect to the end-to-end approach to automation management with respect to MindEzy?
Well, I think we sort of mentioned this as well. It essentially provides that real-time visibility across the automation life cycle. So, as you mentioned, from the submission to process assessment, solution design, development, and production. So, and what that also allowed is it removes, like we said, that clutter of maintaining multiple spreadsheets and documents, not only from a submission, but also for tracking progress or tracking benefits, building use cases. All of that is eliminated based on having this one tool and repository to be able to capture all that information. So the information that was submitted by the user feeds into the business case and helps with the sort of benefits tracking. Everything was sort of interlinked and integrated so that you didn't have to repeat and the information and present it differently across the different life cycle. We also used MindEzy to create various dashboards, so it has some inbuilt capability to do that and some templates. And those dashboards were used for our steering committee and stakeholder packs, and they were automatically refreshed with the latest information when we were ready to present them. So it was seamless and efficient, and it saved us having to recreate the templates and the format each month. We pretty much just had to refresh, save a new version, refresh, and it was a one-touch type of process. So that was another sort of key benefit as well there. And like we said, it provides that visibility of where the opportunities are actually from a progress and status point of view, so where they are in the life cycle. And this is visible to our users as well. So this also helps drive that buy-in and adoption and really that trust in the process, and therefore continue that promotion and continue the users submitting their ideas and seeing that this is actually a solid sort of framework and delivery approach.
Right, great. Thanks for sharing that, Lucy. Let's continue with the slides, Jackie. All right, so two buzzwords there. How does MindEzy enable the democratization and gamification of automation? So we've been talking about providing access to everyone. So let automation not be confined to a select group of automation enthusiasts who are driving it, but let everyone be a party to it, and thereby democratizing it by one, giving everyone access to submitting opportunities, but also giving them constant updates on where the opportunity has progressed, at different life cycle stages as the opportunity traverses through the funnel. And similarly, gamification, because some of our clients want to drive adoption and participation by encouraging different business units or sections within their organization to participate more in the automation programs. So they have the option and the ability to launch competitions based on the number of successful or selected automation entries which go through the funnel. So the team contributing the maximum gets awarded and so on, and they get recognized on their weekly and monthly forums. What has your experience been on that, Lucy?
So I guess initially we haven't introduced this concept. The initial phase for us was about educating our users on how automation can simplify and improve the way they work and generate that pipeline of opportunities. But we have started, I guess, thinking about this as well, and thinking about competitions on the highest number of opportunities submitted per team or greatest capacity of hours saved. So, but having said that, we have shared this type of information with our divisional CFOs and finance leadership, and they are really starting to encourage, incentivize their teams to, I guess, bring forward those opportunities and like you said, have that bit of competition amongst the divisions. So we definitely see that it's coming. I guess the priority for us was more so to just establish the CoE, the framework, and sort of get some opportunities there.
Yeah, absolutely, Lucy. Like you said, it's a point-in-time thing as well. So initially, you want to, learn and get acquainted with the tool, start putting some runs on the board, and then, the tool enables and provides the option to further drive participation by using some of these other features that are there in the tool. All right, thank you for that. Jackie, please. Thank you. That brings us to the next poll question. Do you currently use an automation management platform within your automation program? I'll pause there for a sec and let the respondents answer. Jackie, can we have the results, please? Right. So we have some participants suggesting that they use some automation program, but there's equally the same number of participants suggesting that. What do you think of that result, Lucy?
That's quite interesting. I probably thought more would say no, but it's interesting that it is neck and neck. And I guess my only input really is that I think people get caught up in trying to focus on the benefit that automation will create, and there's definitely a lot of value and benefit that it will, but you can easily get caught out later on when there's sort of no either governance or management in place, that you don't have control or visibility of the bots and what they're actually doing. And I think that really there's a risk there, obviously, of increasing your operational risk. And it also doesn't allow for being able to scale and leverage those reusable solutions. So it's great to see there's people out there that are actually have a automation management platform in place, which is good. So those that don't know, you might need to start thinking about that pretty soon before it gets, I guess, too big.
Yeah. No, and what I've also seen is that a lot of other existing tools, particularly in large organizations, because they already have so many tools, so they use that for managing automation in some form or the other. So whilst the outcome is not necessarily end-to-end, but for example, the use of Tableau-based system for reporting and dashboards, so there are point solutions which can help with different pieces. What MindEzy does, though, is that it is the end-to-end automation solution. So a lot of organizations are using point solutions that do the same as well. All right, Jackie, on to the next slide, please. Thank you. So we want to dig deeper into the workflow and governance controls, Lucy. So we talked about how not having it is a big probably roadblock to scaling it. But how does MindEzy enable the automation of workflow and governance specifically in your experience at ANZ?
Yep. So I guess we used the process and the outputs of the prioritization matrix was used by the CoE leadership team to really assess all the opportunities. So we're able to, again, have a consolidated view of all the ideas that have been put forward, and then prioritize and then allocate those opportunities to the team and the BAs. So this actually ensured that the effort was spent on the opportunities that will deliver the highest value and benefit, so that we're working on the right thing, spending the effort on where we see we're going to actually get that value. What we also found, and the team really found this useful, is the use of notification alerts. Ensure that if there were items that needed to progress or to be flagged, that they're not missed or held up in the life cycle. So it was sort of good prompting and to continue things moving along. And obviously there's also alerts in place to flag when an item is ready for release. So things don't just get released without the right sign-offs and approvals. So there's a flag to submit it to the steering committee and the CoE leads to actually approve that initiative for implementation. So there's a number of, I guess, those flags to ensure that the opportunity is progressing through the life cycle. And also, there's also those audit trails that capture those approvals and sign-offs, so that, again, if there is an audit, that we're able to show how the actual opportunity was delivered through the life cycle and all the pre-production sign-offs. The other thing I'll just mention is that, as some of you may have read, ANZ has been rolling out a new ways of working and using agile methods for delivery. So we did make some adjustments to the level of controls within the tool. Initially, the BAs and developers weren't able to see each other's backlog, but we lifted some of those approval levels to allow the developers and BAs to work collaboratively together. And MindEzy was able to accommodate this quite easily. So I think really the call out is also that, depending on how big or small your company and your organisation is, MindEzy can be adapted and customised to suit sort of your needs. So and we found that quite easy to do.
Yeah, thank you, Lucy. So I'll reiterate some of those points, and I'll add one or two to that as well. That some of our clients are also using it to act as a gatekeeper for other opportunities. So let's say the opportunity gets identified by an end user. It comes to the center of excellence or the performance improvement area. So the first gatekeeper who will triage those opportunities. And it doesn't necessarily have to go into the RPA or intelligent automation bucket. It could go to the business process re-engineering bucket or any other technology solution bucket, or, well, this should be eliminated and in the first place bucket. So they are equipped with tools of assessing and triaging. But once it comes into the intelligent automation or RPA bucket, then it follows the structured workflow that you talked about. So the CoE manager gets notified. They will assign it, he or she will assign it to the appropriate business analyst. They have the ability to then go and talk to the SME who raised it in the first place. And once they have done that, the business analyst has done that, the tool enables automatic prioritization of the opportunity on the ease of automation, benefit from automation, and the risk of automation, three-dimensional matrix. It also helps do the business case real time. And then once the business analysts have done their job, it goes to whatever approval gate you have. So you call it a steering committee, and the steering committee may meet weekly, fortnightly, as in cases in some organizations, and they review all the opportunities that have been prioritized and assessed and business cased, and they can go to any level of detail in that. So what I'm alluding to is the fact that all these controls, you can enable segregation of duties, you can assign whatever access levels to it, and you can actually automate the workflow of how automation flows in your organization, how approvals are made, and have constant notifications and escalations in case of one part of the organization not coming to the party with respect to their automation requirements or responsibilities.
Yep.
Excellent. All right, so moving on, how does MindEzy access the actual bot performance data? I referred to it earlier during the webinar as well. So by now, as you know, all the process data is in the system because this is where we have created the opportunity, we have prioritized it, we have done the business case, we can then do the benefit realization and so on. How about the actual bot performance data? So the bots that are running in production, how many of them are failing? How many of them are running? How many of them require to be, what exceptions are being raised? What analysis needs to be done on that data? So MindEzy enables and facilitates all that information to be available within MindEzy as well. And there are two ways in which it does it. One is a normal CSV upload. So you extract the CSV file from, depending on what the automation tool is, either the control room or the orchestrator or whatever the equivalent of that, and upload it in MindEzy. And you'll have a display layer on top of it, and you can assess that data. Or we can also enable APIs where that information is fed to MindEzy. It really helps in the active monitoring and the health and productivity of the robotic workforce. We have a client who manage a large robotic workforce, and they, this particular client I'm referring to, he wakes up in the morning. That's when a number of their bots are actually performing. He just wakes up, looks at whether his robotic workforce is diligently doing their tasks, and then goes back to sleep. So the point is that it really enables a visual display and assessing with the other process-specific parameters as well. You want to add to that, Lucy?
Yeah. So we haven't actually productionized this as yet, but we have been working with the Mindfields team on the integration and reporting. I guess, again, as I mentioned, we wanted to just start with establishing the framework and getting a few of those opportunities and automation solutions in production. And now we want to be able to leverage this capability to report and monitor on the bot performance via the dashboards that are provided. So this also helps in providing that proactive incident management. We also have a number of established KRIs, which will be monitored and reported to our operational risk team based on this data. So that's another key outcome of the bot performance and monitoring. They want to actually see, the number of incidents, how many have been run, how many have fallen over, and I guess just to assess the risk of that. And another thing is that currently our bots at ANZ are robotic desktop automation, so they're user executed, and we'll also use this reporting to help identify those bots that haven't been run for a number of months or a period of time, and to really understand why. So we want to understand, is the bot not working as expected and so the users stop running them, or has the process changed and therefore the bot needs to change and the user just hasn't come to tell us. So I guess it's another control for us to ensure that the bots that we've delivered are performing effectively and efficiently as well.
Yeah, but thanks, Lucy. And that's certainly relevant in case of a large organization like that of yours, because it's so easy to put a solution in place and then not worry about it or not use it later on. So thank you for sharing that perspective. All right, Jackie. All right, so look, this is the sum all slide, right? So it is not possible to do justice to the entire functionality of the tool in a brief presentation or a webinar like this. We have spoken about some of the specific features in the tool, but we wanted to capture some other key benefits from the platform. So Lucy, are there any other key benefits that you want to talk about that you have experienced?
Yeah, I guess essentially through MindEzy, we do have more control and visibility of the opportunities and ensure that these opportunities are optimally prioritised, and that we're working on the ideas and that will give us the right benefit and value. It also helps us understand what the team are actually working on and ensures at the end of the day that these bots are governed and monitored. I think you mentioned earlier that we don't have that endless pool of resources and funding. So it's easier to have a discussion with the business over the competing priorities when you've got visibility and transparency of how the ideas are actually assessed and prioritised. The other benefit I think that we've really found also is that having the opportunities and solutions held centrally with all this information allows us to easily identify those reusable components so that we're able to scale existing solutions and really increase that delivery time to our business, so accelerate that time to market. So again, as we start to grow, we hope we can reuse a lot of those existing solutions to deliver more value to our business in a shorter amount of time. And I guess it's sort of also the flip side where it allows you to drive scale by applying solutions across the business where they've got common processes as well. So, that's probably been some of the key things that we've seen along the way.
Yeah, certainly. Thank you, Lucy. So I would like to add two more things to that list. So one is, we talked about custom dashboards. One of my favorite custom dashboard is addresses a particular need which is very relevant to robotic process automation. The need is that what if the underlying applications change? And so you can have a application process or application bot cross-reference. So every time, so basically which gives you a dashboard which gives you visibility into how many and what applications are being accessed by that particular bot. So every time IT wishes to make a change to any of their applications, they may be or should be mandated to look at this dashboard to see which bots will get impacted, and the necessary change management or impact analysis can be done before making that change. So some of our clients are using that. And the other one is real-time reporting, which is and also called the one-click reporting, which is because all the process information and bot performance information is now available in the platform, we really don't need to spend any time on producing any reporting. As part of the initial configuration, a report format is agreed, and the type of content that needs to be populated is agreed. And there is one-touch reporting. So you just click on that, and it will produce your monthly or your weekly or your fortnightly report, depending on how you want to manage it. You can also have the additional feature of making the report non-editable. So in other words, you cannot massage the numbers, and it goes straight away for reporting. So everyone gets the same reports and views. Do you have anything to add on that, Lucy, in addition to what you said earlier?
No, I think that custom dashboard regarding the application cross-reference, so that's definitely been key as well. So these bots touch a number of our finance systems, and there's always either patching or upgrades that are occurring, and so we use that information and in discussion with our technology partners to ensure that any changes that happen to those applications or any planned changes, that we can assess the impact on the bots and do that quite quickly and easily, instead of trying to trawl through lots of documentation and find where we can find some of those words within the document. So having those attributes flagged, some of those key attributes have definitely helped in the sort of reporting and managing post-production as well.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Lucy. Jackie, time for another poll. So now that we know about some of the features of the automation management platform, do you think an automation management platform can potentially add value to an automation program and help scale it up? Can we have the results, please, Jackie? All right, so we have a consensus there. Lucy, any thoughts?
Yeah. I was hoping it would be yes, and I think from what we've covered today, we can easily see the benefits of having an automation management platform and the value that it adds. So I definitely agree that it's a yes, and it's really a mechanism to manage changes and within either the bots or outside your processes. So there's so many moving parts that you really do need a management platform to ensure that you're getting the best benefit and that you've also got that control and governance over it.
Excellent. Thank you, Lucy. So congratulations to you as well. I think you've been successful in getting the message across, so well done. All right. Thanks. Jackie, can we move to the next one, please? So Lucy, I wanted to take this opportunity to get you to sum up and see if, what were the overall key takeaways from your experience of implementing it, and also think about the question that, do you feel more in control of managing automation or of your automation program as a result of implementing MindEzy?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, firstly, we found MindEzy to be an interactive solution, and it really offered that great user experience for our end users as well as for us internally as a CoE team. It's visual, easy to use and navigate. So that was, I guess, having it so easy to use ensures that people will continue using the framework going forward. It wasn't just, okay, we've implemented it now and then it sort of gets lost. It's definitely something that we continue to interact with and use ongoing. And what it also has allowed is it allows the user to be part of that journey from ideation, prioritization, delivery, as well as that governance. So again, it's not just the CoE team and our ability to ensure that the opportunities follow a certain life cycle and can govern it, but also our users are able to be part of that journey. And I guess that's mainly because we've found the tool to be quite flexible and easy to use. So, I mean, essentially, it's definitely provide us with the oversight and visibility to be able to make decisions on and prioritise based on what would provide the best value for our business. It also has helped tell the story to our stakeholders and our leadership team. It's definitely helped in, I guess, appeasing and providing comfort to our operational risk teams, and even we present various metrics and information to our risk management council. And yeah, I guess from a takeaway from an implementation point of view, we found that we were able to customize and adapt MindEzy to our ways of working and requirements, but generally we found the majority of the information was captured. So the questions in the prioritization matrix, intake form, business case, a lot of that groundwork has definitely been done by Mindfields. So we weren't starting on an empty or a sort of clean sheet of paper. We definitely had a great base to start with, and just adapted for our own needs and requirements. And even, having those APIs for bot monitoring, having that all at at your fingertips has definitely been able to, I guess, allow us to fast track sort of that implementation that we needed. So it's been a great few months working with the team, definitely.
Excellent. Thanks for those parting thoughts, Lucy. It has been a great experience. I can speak on behalf of the Mindfields team as well, working with you and your team and implementing it at ANZ. All right. So I think we've come to an end to the content, and certainly crammed a lot of information and slides in what was a very brief webinar. We'll be happy to take any questions. Jackie, have there been any questions that you want us to respond to now?
Yes. So we've received a question from one of our participants, and they want to know where there is a breakdown in the data flow between systems and RPA is applied. What is the process to ensure that changes to down or upstream systems and data feeds are aware of the presence of a bot?
Okay, if I interpreted the question correctly, the question is where there's a real-time breakdown, how does MindEzy enable the reporting and communication of that? Is that accurate?
Yes, I think that's accurate.
So look, see where a bot has failed and there is an exception, then one, it will be captured by the corresponding control room or orchestrator, and that information gets fed to MindEzy and can be visualized. So root cause analysis can be done subsequently. So over time, such bot failures or bot exceptions can be analyzed through MindEzy using different dashboards and the analytics that we have, and can be looked at as to why a particular type of errors are happening. But Lucy, do you also have a view on that?
Yeah, and I think what we just mentioned earlier, where all our bots, when we configure them and when we establish all the information and attributes that go along with that bot, one of the key features is identifying the system input, so the inward or outward downstream impacts. So when we do refer to that bot performance and we see an incident has occurred, we're able to easily go back into MindEzy, find the bot information, I guess the what it actually related to, and then able to see the attributes and all those system impacts up or downward, and make an assessment of, I guess, who we need to contact. So having, I guess, again, all the information that's attributed to that bot held centrally, you're able to extract that and capture it quite quickly online.
Great, thanks, Lucy. Jackie, is there another question? We have time for one more.
I think that's it.
Okay, so we'll be happy to reply to questions offline as well, and mail responses to the questions that get asked. All right, thank you once again, Lucy, for your participation and for sharing your insights on your journeys. Really appreciated you making the time, and thank you to all the participants and attendants for making time for this. I hope we were able to share some light on scaling up automation and you got some value out of it. Thanks again. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Great. Thank you.